Hi guys, welcome back to Really Heart. We don come again with another update about some of the trending things when they go on for our country. Among my people, a lot of Nigerians don come and give Tinubu woto for state of emergency when he declare for Riverstate. Because for Arise TV, a lot of people no expect wetin he talk for there. Suddenly, e just declare state of emergency. My people, make una watch the video, make una see the way a lot of Nigerians dey react for this matter.
Make una see me see problem. Shebu na they say Tinubu don suspend Rivers State governor, carry military regime give them. Now military regime now they rule Rivers, a whole Port Harcourt, Garden City. Now military regime they rule them. See this video what they do. I no go too short because body they pepper me. See a whole Rivers State, Port Harcourt, they come out to the governor, sitting governor. You understand? That governor say we carry eye like Obojo. I be like who the people mad woman. Yeah, she did there. They come out from seat. Carry military regime put it. I don't tell them say Port Harcourt people. Only math we get math. If you see them where they do rugged you. But only courtism to the thief people phone. Thief people wallet, you understand? Now waiting for Takot youth. Now waiting there, Sabi, when they reach time for them to take action, they no go fit take. Tomorrow, when I go sing gather for politicians, they sing song for them. The only thing River State youth, Sabi, now to they sing song for politicians. Tomorrow now we can go come out, you go see that they sing. We can they come oh, we can they come oh, we can they come oh. We no go agree, we no go agree. Fubara go come out again, I go sing. Fubara man of the people. Now you we want to own a be mumu. On a release 200 album on a life never see better. Goats, mumu. Seriously, see this video now. It's an advice to Governor Fubara and Riverstate people. Governor Fubara, if I be you don't need to be governor again. You don't thief enough money. When you and Wike be friend, that's why they work for Wike. When Wike be Riverstate governor, on a thief enough money. In from that money, sponsor you become governor. As you become governor, I believe say go don't thief some. Just go relax your life, go sleep. You don't need all this stress. Make them chop the state, make them can do anything where they want. Port Harcourt, if you like, make on no wrong come out. Find on a way go abroad. Stay there. Port Harcourt now the only city where we say get plenty oil companies, but the youth no get work. Shell, Chevron, all of them they Port Harcourt youth now they lack job pass, they no get job at all. Port Harcourt musicians, those one they need the fixing. All this is where they happen that you no go see any Port Harcourt musician carry and sing music. The next thing where they go do now, then go meet all these politicians, collect money, begin call their name for music. Jabosco when they mighty, when they became a man, when they Amechi Oloshi, when they Fubara Olo Bruku. Now so then they do. But seriously, this is a very big shame to Port Harcourt, big shame to Riverstate, understand? See this Tinubu said, Tinubu you be Ojoro, as a carry eye like who them pour 2 plates of pepper soup. See your big eye. You and Fubara even get the same eye, you understand? Still, see what they do now, Ojoro. Now Fubara and Wike they fight. Now then they scatter Riverstate. You suspend Fubara, but you don't suspend Wike. You allow Wike to the work, but you suspend Fubara. That is to show say you did partial already. On they suspend them because on one collect Riverstate for 2027. It is that we don't know on a plan. Armed robbers, thieves, wicked people. Riverstate people, the only thing where there's a Riverstate youth when I go see all this thing now. On no go stand up talk. Tomorrow now when I go see on a fellow youth, go to tell her, hey, rugged you, who goes there? Come on. If you move, I match you. Come on, where are you? Mother rejected, father rejected, Obanje accepted. Now the only thing on Sabi, I dedicate this song to Riverstate people so that when I go get sense in Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Talo dabure o. Emi oloshi alagbara láyé. Talo dabure Olúwa. Talo dabure o. Emi oloshi alagbara láyé. Talo dabure Oluwa. Chai! Military regime don't take over Riverstate. To fear kwa.
Hi, I'm back again with another update. This video explains everything you need to know about why the president didn't suspend his minister, Wike, but instead suspended an elected governor. In fact, Arise News was on fire today. Nobody expected the president to make such a move at all. Do well to watch the complete video to get the full gist. And according to the latest information, the 6 months is just a play. They still have big plans that will shock the entire nation. Take a listen and don't forget to subscribe for more updates. Like and drop your honest opinions in the comments.
It's been, how should I describe it? It's been a very tense situation here since that declaration by Mr. President yesterday in his nationwide broadcast slamming emergency rule in Riverstate. No sooner that particular declaration was made, those who were still outside their homes were scampering, I should say, back to their respective destinations because the next rumor in town was anything can happen, and that is expected. And so before the hours of 8:39 yesterday, the ever busy streets of Port Harcourt in the evening were deserted. We all actually tried talking with one or two persons last night, but they said they can't do that except we'll do so in the comfort of their home. So in other words, yes, it has taken effect, and even as at this morning, a lot of Rivers residents have had to put out their appointments. 1, 2, 3 persons had said, look, we cannot allow our kids to go to school today because we need to first of all watch the situation. But as we hit the streets this morning, 1 or 2 persons are on the streets going about their normal chores, but of course not as they ordinarily would have done, because as they do, they wash their back. Yes, the government house has been taken over by the military, and you know that is expected, because if a state of emergency has been declared, Ayo, you don't expect the government house that will be the cynosure of all eyes not to be heavily guarded. And so that is what is happening there now. And people are going, the few who dare to come out are going about their normal businesses, but there is what I would describe as what looks like a palpable fear that anything might just happen. But the directive from the presidency had said that would not be. There is going to be security, and we are just hoping that that would be, because they say when the 2 elephants fight, it is the grass that suffers. Ayo.
All right, thank you, Dr.
Oh, Rufai.
Okay. Real quickly, Andy, thank you so much for joining us. Please, I want you to give us the whereabouts, if you have it, of Governor Fubara as we speak. Some reports say that he was in his official residence when the state of emergency was declared. So, where is Governor Fubara? Is he still in that house, in his governor's quarters, in the government house? We also hear that there might be some armored personnel carriers around there. Has he been able to come out? We saw a message put out yesterday that was signed by him. Can you also confirm and authenticate that message? But where is Governor Fubara as we speak? And how is his family doing? Is his family safe?
Okay. Okay, thank you so much. I think one cannot, as I do this live cross, I cannot really precisely put a finger on where the governor who is being asked to stay out of governance for the next 6 months is. You know what that means, my brother. He was supposed to be in the official quarters when that was done, but as soon as that declaration was made, and nobody had access to him again. So all we hear in the streets of Port Harcourt today are just mere rumors and conjectures. Others, some are telling you, oh, as soon as that declaration was made, the governor and his immediate family were placed under house arrest. But nobody saw when that was done. But somebody this morning we were talking, and he said, is it not even better for the governor to be kept under house arrest for his own security? Because the situation here is not what one would want to describe as comfortable, especially for the governor who has been in the eye of the storm since this crisis broke in October 2023. And so no one can really precisely say where the governor is now. We try to make some underground investigation, getting in touch with 1 or 2 persons who before the declaration of emergency were very close to the governor. But of course, they maintained sealed lips, and that is understood because they will not want to give out information as to where the governor is, because anything can just happen. But what we can still maintain is that the governor is still in Port Harcourt City. But whether it's in government house, his official residence, or he is in another place, nobody can precisely confirm that right now as we speak. But just yesterday, the should I call him immediate part? He's still just suspended. The commissioner, I should say, for information and strategy, Joe Johnson, did say that the governor, in all his undertakings between when he was sworn in and when this crisis broke, was done in the interest of the Rivers people. And so he called on Rivers people to maintain the peace, ensure that they don't take laws into their hand, that at the expiration of this first 6 months of the emergency rule, he's hopeful that the right thing will be done by all concerned. That was the official statement from the Commissioner for Information and Communications. And if the Commissioner did release a statement, you know he should be speaking on behalf of the government that has just been suspended for the next 6 months.
Commissioner of Information. The wrong thing has been done in Riverstate. And the whereabouts of the governor is important. I was trying to get you to pause in your analysis. I think it's important because in this country, once upon a time, a governor escaped in the boot of a car when, military forces assaulted government house under President Obasanjo's leadership. So I think Nigerians will be interested in knowing whether or not the government house in Riverstate has been taken over by federal forces on the orders of President Tinubu, because there have been footages showing, military officers moving into Riverstate in the direction of government house. Is government house surrounded, as we speak, by federal forces, the military?
Okay, Dr. Abati, yes, very important that we know the whereabouts of the governor, given that scenario you painted. But it is not clear now. For now, I'll still maintain where Governor Fubara is right now. But probably as the hours unfold today, we'll be able to say if the governor is in government house or wherever he is. As for your second question, if the military has taken over the government house, the main entrance to government house has been is being barricaded by the military as we speak now. Again, in the next couple of hours, we'll also be able to decipher if they've been able to take over the entire there, because it is quite a large expanse of land, the main gate and the back gate to government house. But both gates, I should say, have been taken over, probably to forestall any untoward situation, because the atmosphere here is not just the best. You've seen people, some are condemning, others are commending the president, yes sir, for what has happened.
Apart from government house, the front gate and the back gate already been barricaded by the military. Is there a military presence around the city? Have you seen evidence of that? Because you talked about the fears and the anxiety of the people living in the city of Port Harcourt. Is that because of military presence across the Garden City?
Yes, one, because of military presence, Dr. Abati. Then two, because of the fact that, before yesterday's declaration of a state of emergency, there have been several threats by some faceless military, militant groups who had said, look, we are going to blow open the pipes if the House of Assembly decides to go ahead to impeach the governor who is of the Ijaw extraction. So there's been this build-up to what eventually happened yesterday by way of the declaration of a state of emergency. As at this morning, the only spot that we saw the military was the main entrance into the army division here in Port Harcourt. But we are trying to see after what we can do after this live crossing now to comb other parts of the state to ascertain correctly if they are also in other parts of the state. But if that happens, I think that would not be a thing out of place, because when situations are like this, Dr. Abati, you know very well that the military would want to be in strategic positions of the city, especially, in order to forestall any breach of peace. Dr. Abati.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Andy Omanu for your report this morning. We look forward to getting more updates as events emerge this morning. Thank you. We'll definitely look forward to speaking to you again in the course of the show later on today on the Arise News channel. But let me come back into the studio now, and Rufai, I'll start with you. A lot has happened. It's like less than 12 hours now, or a little over 12 hours now, and it seems like a day or a week in terms of political happenings in Nigeria. Your take on yesterday's nationwide address? There's been a lot of conversation, analysis by legal minds, by political analysts about the president's declaration of a state of emergency in Riverstate. Your take on this?
Yesterday, I saw fairness at play. I saw a president that was not fair. That's what I saw yesterday. And I'm going to be hard with the truth today. I'm not saying this because of us. I'm saying this because of our democracy. It's time we stop making this a demonstration of grace. All the legal minds have spoken about it extensively. The last state of emergency had in this country, in fact, I think it was the National Assembly that called the attention of the president to that you don't need to suspend the governor. And it was kept in place. Most of the legal, analysis that have come out of Section 305 keeps faulting what the president has done. But you see, this case is peculiar because, please, you will humor me to think that this National Assembly will be able to call the president to order when they need to vote on it, when they need to get 2/3 on it. This rubber stamp National Assembly, this National Assembly that can't even investigate a case of sexual harassment, this National Assembly that is so high-handed in its own regard towards its own members. Is it this National Assembly? If you believe that this National Assembly will go ahead and make a strong footing and make a strong showing against President Tinubu, then you will be so gullible to think that osmosis is the name of a Turkish footballer. Not this National Assembly. Because they met yesterday with the president, the principal officers, before this was agreed. So it's a political ploy. Coming to the part of unfairness, I saw a lot of half-truths in the president's speech yesterday. Fubara has not made attempts to ensure that the Supreme Court ruling was implemented, but we saw when he went to the House, we saw the game the legislature in Riverstate had been playing. We saw those games, but the president was not fair in the first place because he took sides with Wike. And that's why the likes of Atedo Peter started asking, is there anything more between President Tinubu and Wike this morning? He can't call a spade a spade. He can't call Wike to order. The same President Tinubu did not see where Wike was threatening the Ijaw ethnic nationality and say, what would they do? The same President Tinubu didn't see all of this. But anyway, what do I expect? It's under President Tinubu's watch that we had 2 speakers in Lagos. It's under President Tinubu's watch we had a disarray in Osun State House of Assembly. You've had political suicides everywhere. But in all of this, he heaped all of the blame on Fubara when we know the real actors in this matter. And like Ebon Adegboruwa was saying this morning, it was part of a grand ploy. Let's call a spade a spade. It was part of a grand ploy. The idea was to remove Fubara in the first place. So they had looked for ways. Why was it that all of a sudden, it was yesterday that they served the impeachment notice, that they wrote out the things Fubara had done, and then the president read out the state of emergency. And when you check the state of emergency speech, most of the things enunciated in the state of emergency speech were the things the lawmakers had enunciated in Rivers. So why did it happen all of a sudden? Fela sang a song many years ago. He called it Power Show. I open my eyes and I see for my country. Power show. But please, people that do the power show must remember power is transient. No matter, even if you do 8 years, it will not be there forever. Isn't it shocking that the same president that condemned state of emergency, that was a hero then, has now reneged on everything it condemns?
All right.
It's a sad day for democracy.
All right, Dr. Bati.
Okay, very quickly. Let me first come in from an interpretation of the Constitution, which the president himself highlighted. He said he was acting within the purview of Section 305 of the Constitution. Section 305 of the Constitution explains the circumstances under which the president shall declare a state of emergency. And the conditions are properly stated. If the country is facing a threat of war or imminent war, is Nigeria facing the threat of war in Riverstate? That's one question. It also talks about, a situation whereby something could happen in any part of the federation where, Nigeria could find itself in a chaotic situation. The president is required to act. Number 3, where the governor in that particular state does not immediately respond, to the crisis situation and does not approach the president to act in the national interest. So those conditions are properly spelled out. However, that same section 305 says that the president, will give a proclamation which will be gazetted, and then will go to the National Assembly, and the National Assembly, if it's in session within, 48 hours, would act. If it's in recess, within 10 days, will act. If the National Assembly does not consider that particular proclamation, gazetted proclamation, valid, then it will vote otherwise. 2/3 majority of the two houses, the Senate and the House of Representatives. And if that happens, the decision is abated. Okay? Now, because we are constrained by time, let me now say that Section 305, which the president quoted, is the operative principle. Now, let's look at what the president said. I think that the president has violated the Constitution, even within the purview of Section 305. And he has violated the Constitution because he was not properly advised to respect that section of the Constitution. In what regard did he violate that section of the Constitution? In fact, he acted as the dictator by saying that the administrator that he has appointed can make regulations and laws will be made for the Riverstate House of Assembly henceforth by the Federal Executive Council. The Federal Executive Council does not have such powers. Section 11 of the same Constitution says that, look, when there is a state of emergency, it's only the National Assembly that can make laws for a state House of Assembly. Now, President Tinubu has appropriated unto himself the powers to make laws for the Riverstate House of Assembly. That's an impeachable offense. I don't know whether the National Assembly will have the courage either to reject his gazetted proclamation or to proceed on an issue of impeachment against him for violating the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Now, the other relevant portion of the Constitution is Section 188. Section 188 of the Constitution spells out how a governor can be removed from office. A governor cannot be removed from office by the proclamation of the President of Nigeria. It can only be removed if there is gross misconduct, as put as an allegation by the House of Assembly, and then the CJ is advised to form a panel of reasonable people, people of distinguished qualities in the state. And if that panel now decides within the purview of Section 188 that those allegations are wrong, that puts an end to that process. The president has not followed that. He has acted unilaterally. Section 1, subsection 2 of the same Constitution says that this country, called Nigeria, cannot be governed except by the provisions of the Constitution. There is no provision in the 1999 Constitution that says that the President of Nigeria can unilaterally remove a governor, remove the deputy governor, remove the legislature of a state in Nigeria. So that proves that this is a violation of the Constitution. I go to the third leg of my analysis, which is to say that who advised the president? The people who advised the president must be called to order. Lateef Fagbemi, SAN, is a very distinguished lawyer. I don't understand how Lateef Fagbemi SAN arrived at this advice. And I also say that retired Vice Admiral Ibokete Ibas, if he's a patriot and a citizen, he must reject this appointment, making him sole administrator of Riverstate, because it is a wrong appointment and his own integrity has been called to order. Whatever may be the motivations, he must act as a citizen and issue a statement forthwith to say that he will not be party to the violation of the Constitution. Now, what argument are they putting up? It has been said that, oh, Obasanjo did this when he was president. After all, he removed Dariye in Plateau, he removed Fayose in Ekiti. Look, at that time, Akinolu Jimi, SAN, who was Attorney General, was relying, I think, on the 1960 Constitution. The explanation that he offered that the 1960 Constitution and the emergency, the Declaration of State Emergency Act of 1961 allowed the federal government to remove a governor or remove a legislature. Now, it was wrong. Because at the time he was making that statement, with due respect, the operative law in Nigeria was, either it was the 1999 Constitution. So Akinolu Jimi saying it was 1960 Constitution, 1961 Declaration of Emergency Act was just using political expediency to justify the illegality that President Obasanjo engaged in. And people who are quoting the Obasanjo president must realize that an armed robber cannot say that because one armed robber got away with it, so you also have a right to commit armed robbery. That is wrong. The second point that I would like to make, again with due respect, is that people have been referring to the Jonathan period, that Jonathan declared state of emergency in about 3 states of the Federation, Adamawa, Borno, I think Yobe. Now, that argument has been settled by Mohammed Bello Adoke, who was Attorney General of that time, in his book, The Burden of Service. I don't remember the specific pages. But as a reviewer of that book, I reviewed that book on the back page of this. I recall that Mohammed Adoke argued that there's nowhere in the Constitution that the president is empowered, that's 1979, 1999 Constitution, that the president is empowered to remove a sitting governor or remove a sitting House of Assembly. And that was why under President Jonathan, no governor was removed, no deputy governor was removed, no state House of Assembly was sacked, no local government chairman was even removed in those 3 states. So the people who are just making argument about president, they are speaking out of ignorance. And I recommend Adoke's book for them to find that explanation. Having dealt with the legal framework of this conundrum in which we have found ourselves, yesterday I wrote a piece, back page of this day newspaper, in which I said President Tinubu should take charge of the situation in Rivers. I was reminding him of the crisis in the Western region, First Republic, the Wild Wild West, 1962, the crisis between Adigbenro and Akintola, and when Tafawa Balewa, appointed Majeku Dume as sole administrator. The 1960 Constitution allowed Tafawa Balewa to so act. But I said President Tinubu should not allow history to repeat itself. I expected that in intervening, even despite the fact that there have been violations of the pipelines and Joe Youth Congress is saying they will sabotage Nigeria economically, I expected President Tinubu to still act within the province of the law. And that's why I say he has been misadvised. And I think Vice Admiral Ibok Ite-Ibas should not take this appointment. I also think that the National Assembly should reject this proclamation if it is so presented, and not act within its reputation as a rubber stamp National Assembly. The president should be properly advised so that we can have peace in this environment.
That's the watchword, peace, and that's why the president has said he has had to take this very difficult decision to declare a state of emergency in Riverstate in the interest of peace and to promote law and order. In terms of the National Assembly, they have said that they'll be meeting today to deliberate and to whether pass the motion or not. All eyes will then be on the opposition. We have to remember that the APC has a very small margin of majority in both houses, in the House of Representatives and the Senate. So let's see if we will now hear the voice of the opposition loudly as their leaders have come out, including Atiku Abubakar, Chief Bode George, the PDP in itself have come out to condemn this move by the president, saying that it is unconstitutional. Absolutely. The NBA has also written an initial response to the declaration of a state of emergency, also saying that it is unconstitutional, citing the reasons given in Section 305 of the Constitution as not having been met, questioning whether or not Riverstate is in that state where it would fit into the areas that have been determined for declaration of a state of emergency by the president. But I think, just to clarify something, Dr. Bati, Vice Admiral Ibas, the president had said that he would not be able to make laws or regulations that will be subject to FEC approval. So it's the regulations that Vice Admiral Ibas makes that will be subject to approval by the FEC.
No, the FEC is not a lawmaking body.
Yeah. So the
president is biased.
Yeah, well, okay.
I
So
agree with that view.
Bias,
That is
yes.
biased.
So in terms of being biased, yesterday, a number of people criticized that speech by the president, saying that, unfortunately, a lot of the things he said, and I think Rufai already alluded to this, were put at the doorstep of the governor. That's Governor Sim Fubara, saying that despite efforts he had made to try to bring parties together, Fubara hadn't made any attempt. But the statement released by Governor Fubara this morning actually speaks contrary to that. And we have followed very closely the crisis in Riverstate since 2023, just a few months after Governor Fubara was sworn into office, where at many points, when that meeting was had between him and the Minister of the FCT, Nyesom Wike, he had gone ahead to begin to implement some of the agreements. But then he said that the lawmakers reneged on the agreement, and so he had to pull back as well. With the Supreme Court ruling, which the president also cited, Governor Fubara had also demonstrated good faith in the way that he had wanted to dialogue. We saw the letter we cited the letter that he had written to invite the lawmakers, which they refused and said he should come to them. He went to the complex, and they said they were meeting with him. In fact, they said many of his attempts at some form of resolution had been rebuffed a number of times by the lawmakers. So it's interesting that the president did not in any way acknowledge any of those things, rather said, quoting the Supreme Court, that he was a despot. And I thought that was quite a strong word to use for the governor. Despot, a tyrant, a dictator, an authoritarian, by collapsing the House of Assembly in the state. That doesn't seem to fit with the governor's person in terms of the actions he has taken so far in trying to resolve. He also said that since the demolition of the House of Assembly, nothing has been done to either begin to rebuild, and he had exacerbated the issue. Well, the truth is that the governor provided a temporary structure for the lawmakers to meet and deliberate until they were able to build or to rebuild the State House of Assembly. So a number of things there seem to make it seem or prove that the president was quite partisan. Now, as we've often talked about, it's difficult to play in a space or arbitrate when you're already taking a side. Not one mention of the role that the minister of the FCT played in all of this. Beyond that, what a number of people have opined, and I do agree with this, is that a lot of calls have been made to the president to rein in his minister. That would have been easier than if instituting or going with the Section 305, because the minister serves at the pleasure of the president. He's an appointee of the president. He's not an elected official. Just by reining him in, we might not have gotten to this point where the level of crisis in Riverstate has reached this height. And so the question again this morning is that, having made this announcement, what will he then say about the actions of his own minister, who has been a chief instigator in what has been happening in Riverstate? Beyond that is also talk about the fact that this sets a bad precedent. I used the word militarized democracy a few days ago with regards to what we seem to be practicing in Nigeria today. What we do not want to fall into is a democracy where it seems like a lot of things are happening unilaterally, and there doesn't seem to be a respect for the rule of law, especially the Constitution, which is the ground norm for all that to do, is a holy grail for what happens in this nation called Nigeria. If the president himself is seen to be violating the conditions of the Constitution, it doesn't all go well at all for this democracy or for Nigeria as a nation. And so the conversation still continues. Yes.
Ayo, if Nigeria suddenly faces a threat and there's some chaos affecting the country, would the president remove himself from office?
Exactly. So if you can suspend the government,
will he declare a state of emergency that removes himself from office and appoint a sole administrator to take over Nigeria? Mutatis mutandis.
Yes,
I think the logic works.
If you can suspend the elected governor and his deputy, the president and his deputy should also be able to face suspension.